have to worry about what size I'm standing on. I know it's a machine, but I prefer right-handed so the show back stuff. Most of the shows will come from the left hand to the right, left hand to back hand, and will come from the left hand to body. And it works really pretty effective. It doesn't take a lot of coordination, it doesn't take a lot of body. So I don't do using the arm as a slash and chop or punching out of the body and off the leg. So all my strength comes from my thighs, my abs, and through the hips. Don't really do a lot of arm stuff before that. It requires a bit of physical ability to move. Not the best stats out there. You got to move around it, especially pulling guys. I had the basically the style that had 8 directions. So you do 2 clusters, here and then here. You got 8 directions to move. You can only move on this one with this. Once you can either jump straight up here about 6 feet or drop down to the street and pick up on the foot. Move forward, back, and go this way. This way, the same way. You can have pretty much all you can do. You can't go anyplace else. You can't put that much of stuff you can do. Also, when fighting somebody else, they have to attack you all at the same time. I used to have moving around and walking back and do ballet all day. All I do is sooner or later, you got to they want to fight. They want to try to come. You're going to do it. If there's the other dancing and doing all kinds of stuff, I'll just sit and watch it out. That would be very nice, but I'm not going to go out of my way to shake you down. If I want to win a fight, I'm just going to relax and have something to do. I like turning it out. Anytime you use a velvet short sword, the short sword is interesting. It's really big, long sword. And once when they armies walk out in the field, 48 sword, put this stuff here in Salford, the short sword, only into the short sword, and put the top on the foot. What you do is long nose, you really get tight. You really crush face to face. The long sword moves the light. When you cut it forward, the long sword seems to be short. The short one, you can push it like this. So, for instance, when you have a heart, oh, here we are. I didn't need a body stand, but I wasn't doing it. If you get a guy in close, especially if he has a collar, I would say it happens. So one thing you can do generally with a short sword that's kind of effective is this. You can punch right along the jawline of the helmet at the very base. That'll rattle the guy's wall hard enough that he's going to call it no matter what. Okay, I don't use that unless somebody's really dense. He never would. That's it, when you get it tight, you can turn the fist over, just like you do in a reverse punch. And right across the chop, it's always nice. I don't like it, I like my measure. I didn't bring my veterans. I have a set of swords called Mikey's, and they have a little Mikey emblem that says Mikey just called. They're 3 inches in diameter. They're round, they didn't trim 3 inches in there, and they really hurt. So I don't use those in regular people. I use them like it's just a workout. But that's not a good story. I like to use a direct style of cutting. Okay? The laws of physics are hard to break. And I know people say if you have a really long sword, you throw that long sword, the tip is going to move faster than the short sword. That's in a theoretical world. If you had a machine of unlimited power, you stuck a sword in it, and it can swing that 5-foot sword as long as a 2-foot sword, yes, the tip will be moving faster. The problem is human beings aren't machines. I can't throw a 5-foot sword as fast as I can throw a 2-foot sword, so I don't really care what the laws of physics say. We were at Kansas one year, and they had a test. They put a bowling ball on its head, and they had people hit it and see what happened. Well, Rome went out there and put it in the head in every time. I stepped up one, and it went successful. They go, that's impossible. Okay, it's your test. We don't want my life. I get hit. We'll do it again. Hit into the excessive one, beyond excessive every time. One thing is, 2-foot rattan doesn't bend, which means I lose nothing to flex. So when I hit something, the sword doesn't give. It just soaks the energy right into the guy that hit it. There's no bend and give, there's no whip. By the same token, if I do that, I can't whip around the sword, get hit with a cheap 5-foot sword. It's way better than that. So you can throw a lot of power into a short sword. I can also, the other law of physics you can't defeat. No matter how fast you travel twice the distance, it takes twice as long. So So if you're going to do a lot of this business, yeah, you can do that if you like, but I won't be there when you throw it. When you throw that shot, I'm just going to go flick, and when you throw that, you're going to want to go, oh, why did that hurt so bad? Because your sword was going really, really fast, but it was coming from here. Like Sotaka said, the eyes are fine, we have binocular vision. The other thing is a binocular. We see things in an arc much better than we do coming straight at us. Straight shots are the hardest to block. So, other than just the thrust, shots like this are tougher to block than this. The other thing is the windup. Here's the windup. We were at a practice a couple of weeks ago at school, and a lot of guys, you came and stopped by and came in. Big long couple of rapiers and centrifugal rounds. Now, I don't know what part of history that was, but it's basically rapiers and centrifugal rounds, but whatever. I don't care. I'm old. I can be obnoxious. But they were doing a lot of this. Good wind-up. Well, as soon as I see that shoulder even move, I close. Because I got a shorter weapon, I want to be right. Where I like to fight is here. I like to be nice inside and tight. Longsword got distance has trouble. So you want to try to close, but to close depends on who. If we're here and I try to march in, they're not going to really let me. So what you do is you wait for the blow to start. And if you're here, it's you press. You jump off the back foot and you here. And then you close. By the time they're throwing their shot, you're already in. If they try to bring the shield up to fight this one's the one that hits them. My favorite combination is either a thrust or a cut with the right hand. And I wait for the wrap because I know it's coming. Because, oh, I can throw that wrap around his back, it's going to get in. So what I do is I throw this here, he throws the wrap here. And then I get both of them. That's how the combinations roll. And I had a lot of guys try that, throw that big wide step out, long looping wrap. And I know it's coming, so all I'm going to do is this. Here and I let it roll, I pick up the sword. But when they're wrapping, the other thing's happening is your arm is way out. So again, if I see a long wrap, arm shot, then head. You cut the arm. Anytime the arm comes out from behind the shield, it's mine. With either hand. I can be here as soon as I see that arm, and I'm in. So I try to use economy of motion. I'm 700 years old, so I don't have the energy, instead of going dancing around circles and do capoeira techniques and roll and all that. That would be fun, I guess, but it kind of tires me out, especially when it's 97 degrees out. So I try to use a very efficient stroke. All this long is tiring. Whereas on your shoulder, I only throw what I need to. Very seldom no wasted. Grab your shield and a longer section. Sorry. So you, what I was going to do is grab the other one.
Do an angle.
You're going to do the other one. Sorry. Right there. Is this better angle?
Yep, that's perfect.
That's good, okay. Now, you can only cover so much without a shield that isn't 4 feet wide. Not pitch wide, but it's just reality. So, I definitely hope so. You say a secret way, that's going to come out of $100. I like to do either this to bring that shield up. So what I do is this. Here, I catch the belly, and here's where my sword is. Now, if he wants to throw, all he's got is this. There's nothing else. As soon as he throws that, I come back. I want to draw his attack. I'd rather use a counterattack game, but if I want to suck him in, because he's standing and hiding behind the door, I'm going to try to get him out to make him throw that shot. Once I get really close, he runs out of blows. All he's got is a wrap. Once we're locked up here, like this, really not much more for the wrap. That crush shot's not that strong from there. It's just a windshield wiper. In reality, if you're using a real sword against armor, this, with your wrist opposite, you may get guys to call it because they're nice, but they shouldn't. Because I want to see anybody do this, except for Bellatrix. And if you're Bellatrix, they make you see stars. But anybody else, for the most part, it's not going to happen. I don't know how he does that. With his 5-foot 2-inch thick sword, he's just think. Now, if you have some distance, you can get some power. But when you're this tight here, and you're from here, this just isn't much of a shot. It's not too strong. So I don't really worry about that back shot in close. All I want to do is lock him up long enough for me to get here. And I can use that to block. Now, he's going to try to come around here, here, or here. Yep. He's got a wrap. He hasn't got really a straight shot. He's got to throw the big scorpion, which another shot that never existed in history, because this isn't going to do much to a shield, to a helmet. It really won't. It'll scratch the paint. The wrap shot that I like, if you want to throw one, is this. You come around, I can't throw it, I'll just show it. You come around here, and then you cock your body back and go snap.
Yeah.
Just put your shield on the edge of the shield. It's this. You come around from here, and you cock it back. Because what happens is, I don't know this like, if you just do this, the reality is, with the back edge of your sword, just going like this, it'll make a noise, it'll ting, and you'll go, yeah, it's a blow. But how much damage would you have done, even in chain, over leather, and a helmet? You just went like this. But if you step in, and you come here, and you go snap, and you catch me at the base of the skull and the back of the neck, you'll hit that cervical vertebrae, you through chain, but, yeah, that was great. And you hurt them. All you can do most of the chain in the sword would be sort of theoretically fighting in chain over leather, and the bassinet, or open base helmet, is you would cause damage by breaking bones or damaging the muscle to a point where it can't be used anymore. And that's what we're doing. We're fighting with clubs. So I'm not worried about cutting through the chainmail. It's very hard to do. If you guys hit a double riveted chain, a medieval sword is not going to cut through it. It just isn't going to happen. But you can hit it hard enough where that arm, where the muscles get damaged and the arms get hurt and they start to sting. Or you catch the spine in the back of the neck, and you can hurt them. But you've got to generate a lot of power. You can't just sit there and go flick and say, that was good. Okay, thanks, Tom. Put on real armor, take it and see what you can do. So you just go flick. See how much damage you really do. The guy's out to kill you, and he's got a broadsword, and you're going flick. That's the karate tournaments. Hey, the point was beautiful. They run away and tap you in the top of the head, call it a point. Instead of going that way, I just like to constantly deliver the power. Enough power that when somebody gets hit, they go, oh, yeah, it's good, it's good. I don't want to have to repeat myself. You're old, you get that right. You like to say it once, you run out of wind, once it's enough. Also, at some point, and I think Taco is kind of getting into this, the shield could be my shield as well. Okay, that's not his. We're sharing it. I like his shield. Very nice. So if I slide off to one side to here, he's got to get around his own shield. It's not just me getting around it, he has to get around it. So I can force him to move and have to cut around the shield. The bigger it is, the better I like it. If he's got a door that goes from here to his ankles, I couldn't care less. But he'll be blind before I am. I can see him. Once that shield starts to move up, he can't see anybody. So I want to relate a story where Thor and I tied up a whole group of about 15 guys with gigantic titanium shields. They put them up like the block us, they formed a circle, and two of us just went around a circle tapping the shield. They didn't know only two of us there, going tap, tap, tap. They didn't know there's only two of us there doing nothing. So you can use that as a weapon. It's my weapon. I have two swords in a shield. He has one sword in a shield. So it gives me a little bit of an edge. The other thing is when you learn how to really throw these shots, you can fire off both sides. You don't have to be left or right-handed. I like using, I'm right-handed, I like my right hand forward, and my left leg forward, because it gives me a little more power, and it gives me a little better finesse with my strong hand up front. My power hand, just like with the Japanese sword, the power hand is your backhand, the control hand is your front hand. So if I'm going to shoot the little finesse slot shots, I want my right hand in front. When I get the opening, I just want to drop something on his hips to where he goes, oh God, that hurt. I'm going to use my left hand. I'm usually using a little heavier chopping sword in the left, and a faster sword in the thrusting in my right. Because this has more control for the tip. So I get a little bit more finesse, and also, if I throw the face shot, I have more ability to bounce back and give it up if I think it's too hard. So when I feel something I want, I just release and let my arm go. My right hand's a little faster and a little bit more deft, so I can get rid of it before I hurt somebody. Because I don't want to, because somebody can step into a thrust, no matter how much you mean to go, not light little tap, they step up on you, you didn't expect it, and it could be nasty and catch them in the jaw and snap back the neck. So as soon as I feel contact, this hand's a little quicker, dropping and getting out of the way. No matter how stiff somebody is, injuring somebody is not the point. If they get to a point where they just won't call anything, you say, thank you, obviously today was your day, you're immortal and vulnerable, I can't beat you, and give them the fight. It's better than trying to go out there and say, I'm going to get this guy, I'm going to break something on him. I heard that, I felt that, I wanted to do that, except for, I'd never do that. I did knock on my conscious down. In a brick battle, I think. But what I try for in my blows are a very select series of movements. They don't have to be flashy. You don't need a lot of blows. What you need to do is be very good at the blows you have. So, my basic shot with this hand, just like you would with a regular sword, I twist my foot, snap, and I pull it back. I twist my foot and snap, pull it back. I want a cross shot, I twist my foot, flatten it, and bring it back. That's mostly what my backhand does. Simple snapshot. Don't have to get that fancy. I can throw kind of a wrap to the body with it or ribs if I want to. But I use the power coming up from the ground. And the foot's like you're stepping out of cigarette. Okay? From here, I just turn my foot and turn right into it. I let the blow go. Keep your back straight so you can be level. Try to avoid any of this stuff. As soon as you bend over with a 12-pound helmet on your head, you're in big trouble. Okay? You can damage your neck. You can damage your back. And if they hit you with your neck bent over, you can wreck the cervical vertebrae and wind up with all kinds of surgery, which is not good. So keep your body level, erect, flat, and fluid. You want to be able to turn and pivot on the hips, not bend up and down. It's never a good way to move. The front hand has a few more choices. The front hand, obviously, the cheapest shot in the world is this. Nothing wrong with it, just because it's cheap. It works. Face thrust is nice. I like using finger snap from here, side snap from here. I like the Molinet from here, around. You can wrap in here. You can do anything you want with the front hand. You can chop straight down or flat snap. You can cut either direction and down. So it gives you a lot of variety. And you can keep it fairly simple. Again, I very seldom try to step out and throw gigantically long things and stretch my arm. Two bad things can happen. One, they hit you and you lose. And the other thing is you can hyperextend that shoulder or elbow. And if somebody steps in and catches that arm and pulls it, shoulder goes out. Not a good thing when you're 300 years old, because it doesn't want to go back when you're old, and they don't want to fix it anymore. They say, well, it's Obamacare, so you get no medicine, and we're not going to help you anymore. Who wants to fix a 300-year-old mic? Come on, how much money do you have left to pay taxes? So they don't want to fix it. That was Duke Obama from Nottingham Castle, and he just said it. She started to say, now you can't, won't pay any health insurance for the guy that hurts himself when he's that old, because he has no fighting career left. Well, it's the same thing here. Okay, so, I'm not a leg hunter. I very, very seldom ever cut to the legs. Two reasons. My biggest reason is, say I go here and go, and he goes down on one knee. What have I just done to myself? I've lost my mobility. I can't circle around him. I can't corkscrew him. I've got to stand straight in front of him. Now he's covered, his whole area is covered with the shield, and I've got to go at him straight on. This is not very chivalrous to run around him.
Never mind, you just answered.
Okay, good. Yeah. I don't think doing things like this on a guy on the ground, because I can outmaneuver him, is very chivalrous. I won't do it. Maybe if we're in a war on Michael of Bedford, maybe, but other than that, no. I'm going to fight the guy straight up, because I believe in a fair fight. I like a clean, straight fight. Once he's tucked down with a big shield, it's murder to kill the guy. So why should I make my job hard just for the fun of hitting on doing a Tetsuo, hitting this way, like, oh, and drop down and scream? My night was from Tetsuo. I don't know how many of you guys know him. He was the boogeyman of Meridians. Back in the old days, they would say, in the shires of the north, the women would use him to scare their children. Be good, they would say, or Tetsuo will come and hit you on the inside of your thigh. His inside thigh shot made only nice pride in Israel. So aside from having the pleasure to see the guy scream and yell when you hit the nerve plexus inside the thigh, it really isn't that great. It's not that useful for you, because you've now taken away his mobility, but so is yours. And if he fights with one knee up and he's up here, he can shove back, he can lay back this way, he can shove forward, and you've got to fight the guy with this big shield covering almost everything. It's not that you can't get him, it just has now taken away a lot of your normal game. I'd rather not. I'd rather fight the guy up on his feet. Practically, you say, God, take the leg and come back up. Just because I don't really feel like wrestling with the guy on the ground. So that's one reason I go for the legs. Arms, don't have a problem with them, but I have a reason. If I don't like what the guy's wearing for arm armor, I won't shoot for him. If I see a guy that doesn't have bicep armor, I don't like the look of his elbow cops, or I think it's really thin, I won't shoot for the arms. I'm not going to sit there and crack a guy's arm just because it was cheap and easy. I have to see if the guy's got decent, at least decent armor on his hands before I start going arm shots. My favorite shots are there, and the helmet. And the best shots. It's a kill, one shot, I'm done, and I don't have to sit there and wrestle around after. Once I hit the body of the head, the fight's over. If I hit him in the arm, now I go, okay, throw my sword away, and now we're fencing. I got a little tiny short sword and we're fencing. And I usually give him his good arm and let him dump the shield, fight with his good. I won't take his good arm away so he can fight even. But now I've got to fight the guy with the longer sword, maybe the thrust, and I got to defend him. I just soon let him keep the arm, not go, and not worry about it. So if I do take an arm, you got to keep, when I snap the arm, I'll let him toss the shield and fight with an arm at least. Now, put the other sword behind my back, I don't even fight even up. Again, it's not required, but chivalry is what theoretically our game is about to a great extent. So chivalry. It's not just about winning fights. If you have any kind of a career, you will have thousands upon thousands upon thousands of fights. Winning one more or less really isn't all that important because you're going to have plenty of other fights to win or to lose. It doesn't matter. It's about having a really good time, testing your skill, improving your abilities, and becoming a better fighter. So when you throw down the ability to drop your shield on and fight it one-handed, all you've done is give yourself some practice fighting one-handed. You make yourself better. You've got more training at it. That's all it's training on. We're not fighting for life or death. We're not fighting for hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're fighting for pretty much having fun. So it's not a bad thing to do. So I don't usually even go for the arm. I will if I feel it's the best shot I've got, but because I fight Florentine, I can throw combinations. By the time I hit the arm, I hit the head and the body at the same time. They don't usually get a chance to switch over. Makes it a little bit easier. Combinations, very good thing. The reason to have two swords, aside from going left, right, left, and all that, you have the ability to throw multiple strikes and combinations from both hands. So when you start a combination, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, once I start throwing it, I usually wind up throwing it because it just comes in like that. So by that time, if it hits something, as soon as something drops, they're getting hit 2, 3, 4, it doesn't matter, they're usually out there, kind of ends the fight a little earlier. The other thing is, if you don't understand or you're teaching people that don't know left and right, I had a group of squires a long time ago that I was trying to, see, I lied to these guys. I found them in a park, and I know my squire was still training, and I lied to them. And I said, look, you can't go to an event until you fight for 4 months. Training in the park, doing kung fu drills and all that. I kept trying to get them left and right. They couldn't get it. So I said, well, see, I'm a history major, so I got a degree in history. The Revolutionary War. Guys did left and right. You put hay on one foot, straw, you go hay, put straw foot. But these guys don't know for that. They did no beer. We had a bud foot and a bush foot. Bud foot, bush foot, bud foot. It worked pretty good. They learned. Okay, so, I know those guys.
Yeah, you go well.
Okay, he knows them well. Now, the reason I like the 8 directions, I can come in and out and fight from here and go here, 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 and pound at him straight on. But if he's good with the shield and he's using the sword defensively, he can stop me pretty well. He can get you blocked up pretty well. This is one of the situations, 85% of the guys are right-handed. So I want to go to the sword side. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of the other knives. I'm going to come here and go here. And try to throw up the slot. I'm going to shift that way, at that angle. But if it has a center shield, a center grip, I'll sometimes do this. I'll fake this one with the sword here, shield up, the shield here, and do that. Center grip, held this way, is a revolving door. Anybody's held it. To hold it like that against any pressure in the world is hard. If somebody comes in and punches it, that door will open. The strap shield is hard up to get your entire arm. So if he tucks his elbow and doesn't want me to move the shield, he should be able to hold against me, even though he's big. A center grip, though, remember the Romans did it. The center grip was crosswise, and they held it like this. But they trained 8 hours a day, 7 days a week for 20 years. I don't know how many of us do that, but not a whole lot, I would imagine. Their physical strength was tremendous to hold that shield up in a battle. And they didn't do a lot of one-on-one either, so it's a little different when you're in a line. Because each shield is locked to the guy next to it, and it won't revolve because their shield's in the way, it keeps pressing in the line. Somebody's out, they close in, and they close the line back up, and the shield is supported by the guys next to you. Being held like that, with a center grip, the other thing you can do with the thrusting is this. Here, pop it with the thrusting grip. Pop. Cut out here and go to the back. Okay, you can also pop it here, and again with the grip, it'll just open, and I come back to this. That's the normal combination. So it's an easier, in one way, that a lot of people hold it out, and it can buy you up, but if you don't care about the distance, he's trying to buy you off that. Because whenever he puts that shield out really far, the center grip, it also shortens his sword distance on it. You can't, he's got to fight behind his own shield, so I can just take a step back and go here. Now his shield doesn't help, nothing's helping him. He's got to close. And when he closes, what I'm going to do this, I'm going to close. Catch that opening and come to this side. When he tries to come around the outside, here. It's all a matter of slipping and sliding through the flanks. I'm not always fighting head on. And trying to, when you go to the side, you should have a reason for it. You should already take the advantage. I never step out here until I know that I've taken something away from it. Because if I step out wide, even with the second sword, I step here, I'm leaving something open. unless I try to fight like this, which I don't like to do. So when I step out, it's going to be because I've done something to him. Okay, so put your shoulder up. I wish I had your center group because it's easy to show. If I want to go there, I'm going to do something like this. Now I'll step out to the side and hit here. If he wants to fight, he's got to come all the way around with the sword. All I do is stick my arm out. I'm going to catch him. I'm going to catch that sword someplace or another. I'll open him and step sideways. Otherwise, I have up and back, these two, and then these two, if he presses real hard, I can always slip it. I can just slip off to a flank and come to the other side. I only do the side to side when I know I've got some kind of advantage or a reason. I've got him tied up someplace or I've got him out of position. Then I'll go wide. Because when you go wide, you expose your leg. If I want to step really deep here and I go like this, I'm also exposing my legs. So I don't want to give him that unless I've already tied him up and I do something like this first. I've got his sword in your shield jam, then I can step out. So it's all about footwork, positioning and body weight. Never get yourself torqued and twisted. The weight of the armor is not going to make you any better. It's going to make you hurt. It's doing all of this all day. It's tired. You slip.
Please continue. Thank you.
You slip and you fly. So, most shield guys are going to try off the bat. When they see the two little sticks, go, oh, he's got little swords, he can't hurt me. And they're so small, he can't reach me, so I don't really catch it. They're going to step and try to throw the big shot. Either a cross shot. Usually they won't come in with a straight snap to the flank, so I hold my sword, I'll position it. Here and here. Now I can goof around and do this and do it. Okay, unless you're Van Helsing, this really is not a good position. Okay, you just jam one of your swords against the other, and once you say, back, you creature of the night, it really doesn't help you very much. There's no advantage to it. You don't have a good throw up either hand. The backhand can't throw anything because this sword's blocking it. So what do you gain? You're strictly defensive. You can do this and this. That's about it. The backhand can't do anything. So I'm just sitting and hoping that I can. I've seen that there. It really doesn't help. And I've seen it done with long swords, which is even more fun. I love that. Too big doing this. It's my favorite. I'll do that all day. Because you can't use your sword. So I can attack it. All you're going to have is this little flip with your fingers. Not that great. I'll come down the slot and stop the first one, and then there won't be a chance for a second one. So this isn't really good. What you want, back foot, heels slightly off the ground, back knee bent. This one right here, straight between the eyes. Because if your eyes let go, you can look around. You can see both sides. It's not really in the way. This one, I'll keep the thrusting tip here, and I'll keep it away from the line of this one. I never let them come to the same line for a reason I'm sure a lot of you will figure out. You press this one, I don't have another one. Here, you can't sweep both. You can try to block one or the other, you can't sweep the pair. But keep this one down, this one up. What's good about this, when he goes to throw headshots, and I'm here, okay, I don't have to move. Just a little shift of my hip. Here, 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 here. I don't have to do much. I can afford to be lazy. And when you're 400 years old, that's good. You want to be lazy. You don't want to use a lot. So I'm not going to sit there and go like this and this and this, hacking and chopping. I'm not going to do anything. My sword's going to stay where I want it because I like my sword here. I can do most of what I want from here. He throws a straight face shot, it's already in the way. He throws either side, a slap on either side or a snapshot, here, here, stops pretty much everything. Even a straight down the head. It'll come right down and rain off it. Doesn't matter. Saving my energy. So I keep this up in the middle. This one I'll sometimes keep low because if he's got a big enough shield, the sword, he doesn't really know what this sword really is anymore. This sword may be up or down, he's not really sure. So what I can do is this. Reverse and hit him on the back with this edge and come in here. Again, I'm sliding off that side angle. Okay? So I don't let him see this sword. I'm up here doing this. Throw that. And I come here. And he still can't get a block. He's going to have to come all the way around his body to block that shot. Very hard to do. It's a longer shot. If he doesn't see it coming, he's not even going to waste his time blocking. He's going to figure this sword is on this side. This sword is on this side, and that's how I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw here. I'm going to throw here. But I can cross them up. Okay? I can cross my shots over anytime I want. And you keep this one down, and you let it just kind of hang. Now, I can do what I want with this. I can go here, and go here. I can come back and throw this one if I want to. I can press this one down and come over the top with this one. Or I can change swords from here and go block, pick this one up, and hit there. So it gives me a lot of options. Either side is mine. I don't care if his back, his head, it doesn't make any difference. I can hit with both swords, depending on how I want to move. If I'm tired and I want to get out of the way a little bit, I just back off a little bit, and I watch what he's doing. If I'm a little confused about him, just back off a little bit and watch him. Stay out of his range, keep my arms down so the blood flows back to them. Because when you start getting tired, you lose blood flow to your arms, you let it sink down, and just kind of stand back a little, let your arms flex, shoulders down, loosen just walk. You sit there and play with it. Keep this in the way so you can't just run in. Kind of gives you enough time to get back into the game. Actually, I don't know anything about being tired until I'm at least 500, so I got another 100 years to go. But, so, from out here, from distance, does anyone have a longer sword than that?
Yeah.
I want to give something this reach. Okay, so, his sword, if you like, it's definitely a longer sword than this one. It's a longer sword. Okay, so theoretically, he would have the reach advantage. But does he really? He really has the advantage. What's the longest you can stretch your arm out and see where the end of your shot is? Okay, there. Okay, even there, he's here. Now, from here, I can hit him from here because I've got the entire width of my chest and my arm ahead of him. So even though his sword is longer, I can hit him from a little further out than he can hit me. It takes a much, much longer sword to be able to outrange you because of the way the body pocket is in my front hand. So from here, I've really got a range advantage. Here, I can catch him here and go, and he really can't hit me. He'll have trouble hitting me with that. You hear that? Nice. It's really hard for him to hit me from that distance. He's got a lot of reach. He's got to step out and reach in. And then when he steps out and throws the big inevitable wrap, this one drops on him, and I don't even worry about it. And I throw my second shot. Because that's all I'm going to do. But this, I'm going to sit and wait. I'm going to wait. I may throw whatever I want here. As soon as that comes out, that's where I'm going to go. Right here to hold the sword back. And then when he's got hit that way, I step deep. And then I can here, punch in here, or I can do a punch like that. Yeah.
Can you generate power with your front hand on an opener?
Put your,
Well, I want to watch the body mechanics.
Let's push the shield. Okay, from here.
Okay.
Just or, yeah. You use your body. Don't use your arm. Try to use the biceps. Here's the problem. Most arms have a much bigger bicep than a tricep. A bicep is a constrictor. It lifts, it wrestles. The tricep is the extensor, but most people have a little, tiny little tricep and a bigger bicep. So if you tighten the arm up, the bicep actually counteracts the tricep and it slows the blow down. It really doesn't help that much. If you learn to be able to throw at the hip and then just throw the tricep in at the last second, and the other thing is the fingers. It's like grabbing, it's like a cat grabbing a piece of string. Okay? And it closes like this. Just with your fingertips, just hold the show up a second. Just the fingertips. Just fingertips, nothing but fingertips. You can get power. Now, if you add the rest of the body, yeah, you got a lot more stuff. So usually, if I throw it, I'm using my legs. I'm going to drive in on my quads. So I'm going to start from here to drive in, just go and hit. I'll get enough power out of that because I'm throwing 230 pounds this way. That's behind the sword. So he's going to have to soak all that up, plus whatever dynamics are in the turn and the twist. So you can get a lot of power that way. It's just a matter of practice. It takes time. Beginners very often can't do that kind of a snap right off the bat with their fingers. But you close one finger at a time, this. And as the fingers close down and the wrist snaps over, you can generate a lot of power. It really does. It just takes a little time to get it, anything else. I've been doing martial arts since Christopher Pike was captain of the Enterprise. For those who don't know Star Trek, that was the 1964 pilot film. I have never stopped training in the entire 47 years I've been doing martial arts. I've never had any time that I've been out of training. One time I was always training. Last 21 years I have my own school, so I'm stuck there every night of the week because nobody else is stupid enough to take over for me, and Saturday morning. So 6 days a week plus working my regular job from 7 a.m. to 6 to 9. It's a ton of fun. So, but it forces me to train, and that's why I do it. It forces me. I can't say, I had a bad day, I'm going home to sit on the couch and watch television. I can't because I have to open the door. Because I got to be there. So now I'm forced to go there every night, whether I want to or not. So that's what happens. You get to be, 3 or 400 years old. You have to force yourself to train. So yes, the front hand can, it's very good question, can develop power. You can develop with a cross shot the same way as with straight down or the side. You can leave all the rest of it out, other than control, and you can still develop enough power for a decent hit. Now, it's not going to be a helm crusher. Mikey's never going to call it, but, you know, he doesn't call anything anyway. So what really is the difference? Wow. Doesn't matter what you hit him with. So, unless you're not cold, then he tries to get back up and fight again. Just a quick story. Happened this a long time ago. There were 7 of us on a bridge fighting Florentine. And we're all boy, are we stupid. So, the power can come out of these little guys. They're really strong enough to do a lot of power and a lot of damage, depending on how thick they are and how stiff they are. I don't like ultra whippy rattan because if it flexes too much, it just doesn't give me a good enough hit. And with the backhand, I'm mainly just dropping it. Again, it's more like a gladius or a falchion. Heavy, tip, and I just drop it on people so it hits hard.
In your opinion, what length do you start losing too much deflection?
It's hard. I generally fight with 26 inch. If I start getting down below 24, I start getting so short. There's a guy, Rick Rapin, up in Meridian, a good friend, and he kept trying to he got him down to like 18 inches, but it was really starting to lose power at that point and getting really small to really manipulate. You start getting much over 28 to 30, 32, 34, and you start losing some of the infighting game. Not that it's gone and you can't do it, but you get a little bit less on the inside, and it's more. It has to be more of an outside sword. It depends on your personality. Some people are not comfortable here. They don't want to fight here. And I've had a lot of it, which makes people uncomfortable, which is why I do it. They don't like you in their bar group. They don't care for it. I can still get that close and hit people. They have trouble hitting with it from that close. So once you start getting too long, it gets a little bit awkward. It doesn't mean the sword's not effective. But really longer swords, like you see in the 40 inches, even when they get like 34, 35, 36, they were more horseman's weapons when you're coming to the broadsword, because I have one home, the sword that became the Trimaris sword, an Atlantic cutlery, they had a real carbon steel, but it was a hand and a half. You use it on horseback with one hand. It's a long, broad, heavy blade. Cuts beautifully, but once you're on foot, they would go as a hand and a half. Because it really was, for one hand, you have to be a monster. You just swing it really well one-handed. And if you get into a press with a bunch of guys, it really doesn't move well on a press. In a war, and you got a ton of shields locked up on each other, a really long sword just isn't that effective. I'm having to fight next to a bunch of guys, and we're all up in a line, and my sword's 40 inches long, and I want to throw it. I'm going to want to bang into my own guys' helmets. When the short sword from here, I can fight like this would be my shield, and just punch out every now and again. I see an arm, punch out and take it. Punch across the slot, twist it over, and still keep my shield out, and stay close and tight, and keep that sword snug. I can roll it around for a block here and here, and I can fight with the tip and throw it like that. When the sword starts getting really big, you start losing that. It's not an infantryman's sword. They're just really not meant to be infantry.
So 24 to 28 inches?
Yeah, somewhere in that range, anywhere that you feel comfortable. I've used them down to as low as 22 and been okay with them, and 20 is about as long as I like. Anything much more like that takes away a little bit of my game. And again, I fight a style that's pretty much my own. I did a lot of years of Filipino stick fighting, so I fought Wally, mostly Longo y Corto, Espada y Daga, and so I'm used to using either a long and a short or 2 of the medium. I don't really care for the double long. Not that big a fan of it. It seems to restrict some of my motion. Also, this is all the kung fu I do. I tend to use kind of a butterfly style, so I use that punch and cross and short chopping. I'm trying to keep my game as efficient as I can make it. I let my opponent work. He can dance, he can run, he can do it. That's fine. Let him use his energy. Just like in tournaments, guys dance around. They throw 50 roundhouse kicks. They do the circle like Chuck Norris, the circle around kicks to show off. They do it all day until they wear out. I don't care. Not near me. I don't really care what they do. But this lets me really just relax and wait for my opponent. And again, like Taco was saying, a lot of it's mindset. So one Trimaris crown list that I won in, I can come out and tell you I'm going to win every fight with a single throw, one blow, one shot everybody. And I just was ice cold and just sat there and they moved, bang! I just turn around and go. I just got that in my mind. Usually I don't fight like that, but there was one time I said, I'm going to be ice cold. And then the guys warned me and I was too cold, I didn't really go after anybody. I was just playing some different kind of game in my own mind. I like to be aggressive if I'm fighting good level fighters. When I fight beginners, I do not go after them. I see a new guy, I'm going to take it easy, I'm going to throw a little simple stuff. I want to give them a chance to do something. I'm not going to take a beginner and beat the hell out of him until he never wants to fight again. I've seen it done. I've seen dudes like they just pummel some guy, and brand new guy, and you just crush him. What did he learn by standing up and going like this? thank you, and walk off. You really didn't learn anything. If he's new, as a Duke, it's my job to help teach him. It's not my job to humiliate him and beat him up. There's nothing in it for me. So that's when I go into instructor mode, and I don't go no mind. How many of you guys know Duke Merriwald? Okay, Merriwald was a no mind fighter. When he tried to show people what he did, had no idea. He would show them stuff in the old mid-roll that was completely ridiculous. When he started to fight, he wasn't Merrill. He really was Duke Merrill. He fought in a totally different style. He couldn't remember his fights. When he finished, he didn't know what he did. He would go into a totally different mode. He'd go blank. His eyes would change, and he'd go no mind and be a blank fighter. And he fought totally differently. He'd be swirling and rolling and all that kind of stuff. When he'd come out of it, he'd say, "Well, I don't really know what I did in the fight." But that was because he was an actual, legitimate, natural no mind fighter. He didn't have to train for it. That was just him. And it made him as good as he was by being a blank slate. So when he fought, he just did whatever it was that came out of wherever he got it inside. It didn't come out of what he did, but the mid-roll guys do, because he showed us, he didn't do any of that stuff. And, I didn't see that, but when he starts fighting, he's someone else. I try to do a similar thing and make my eyes go blank. And what I do is I defocus my eyes. So, go to your weapons. So when I'm fighting somebody, I don't look at them, I just do this. If I'm really going to fight, if I've decided I'm going to win, I just go, my eyes go completely blank and they drift, and I don't see anything. I don't fight with my glasses. My vision's 2400 on a good day. I'm as blind as a bat without my glasses. I've never worn them in the helmet. I just let them go, and I fight on instinct and technique and whatever you pick up with somebody's energy when they move. That's just how I fight. But you can relax your eyes to a point where you don't look at the sword. If you want to get fooled by pump fake, stare at the sword. And so when I go like this, and you go like that, and you move your shield, it's because I did a pump fake. Pump fake should never work on you. You should be looking over his shoulder and just kind of relax and be focused here. So now what he does, it doesn't matter until he comes within your reach. When he comes in your reach, you react to him. Until then, I don't care what he does. It doesn't make any difference. He can make the sign of the cross. He can call anybody he wants. It won't matter as long as he can't hit me. When he moves that sword into my range is when I start to move. Until then, I don't care. But I relax and refocus my eyes. And that takes usually a long time to learn to be able to blank yourself out like that. I can't quite do the Merrill. I become somebody totally different. That's a natural gift. But he was phenomenal. I don't know how he did it, but maybe there was somebody else inside of there we didn't know about. We also say he was a replicant, but his end date expired, and we just didn't go anywhere. So when we reached his end date, he was still there. So he just had a very strange ability to do that. But it's a very good way to fight. When you're blank, you have no ego in the fight. Ego will defeat more fighters than anything else. If you're afraid to try anything because you're afraid to lose, or you're fighting some new guy. And I've known guys who they go to the new guy, I can't lose this guy, he's new. I can't lose. Bam, they just slam this guy into the ground, and it's like, okay, that was great, you beat nobody. You go to Shine Nowhere, nobody's with this. There are 8 unbelted fighters in their fought, and somebody comes up and says, I would win this year, and they'll crush these 8 unknown fighters. Okay, great. But take the ego out of your fight. You're fighting for skill, you're fighting to improve yourself. Anytime you do anything like a martial art, which I guess this is to some extent, the art is about learning to improve yourself, to bring yourself to a higher level, not to beat people up, to bring yourself to a higher level. We're not fighting for real, so nobody's dying. Okay, in case somebody's not, nobody's dead. I don't think anybody's been killed yet doing this, so it shouldn't be too bad. You're fighting to improve yourself and to improve your ability. If you go out there thinking, I've got to win this, I've got to win, I can't let this guy beat me, you've beaten yourself halfway already. Because now your mind is in clear. You're not reacting. Okay? Size has nothing to do with winning the fight. It doesn't make anything to do with it. It's the focus, the clarity of your mind, your skill and technique, and how you deal with an opponent. It has nothing to do with who's big. It doesn't make any difference at all. It really doesn't. All that matters is that two sit against the man. I'm sorry, that's fine. But what matters is that you want to get better. Every fight you have, you should be using saying, when this fight's over, I want to be better than I was before the fight. What can I learn from him? What blows is he going to throw that I might never seen before, and how much better am I going to get when the fight's over? Because then, the next time you fight, you'll be a better fighter. That's the way you really want to approach it. You approach it, I can't lose this fight because this guy's my enemy, or this guy is from this other shire, or this guy, I'm a higher ranked fighter than him. he's a man at arms, I'm a squire, I can't lose to him, and the knights will think badly of me. Forget that. Nothing to me. Don't worry about it, it makes any difference. That's how you fight. You have to fight at a high level in here, in your heart. You fight well. If you fight well enough and clean enough, people will notice you. It's not that you, did you remember 2 years ago, you lost to a men's fighter. We can't knight him, forget about it, he's done, get out of here, okay? It doesn't matter. Become the better person, become the better martial artist, become the better fighter. Build your fighting from inside, not outside, okay? Yes, you do need to do things like weights or push-ups and sit-ups and leg lifts and all that. You actually do need to do this, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been doing it for so long, I can't remember when I didn't do it. Having a certain amount of physical conditioning is important. If your body is a wreck, you have to really change, the way you fight. I wouldn't recommend this style. If your legs are bad, you've got no knees, I wouldn't recommend 2 short swords. I really wouldn't. Because you need the mobility. You've got to be able to shift side to side. There are other styles you can pick that will give you a better chance of survivability. But if your legs are working, everything else you can get away with. Because the back is straight, the body is straight, you're not straining anything, and you should be fine with it. Anybody have any questions?